We'll go on into the other side of the things. We're not done here. Keeping the train going directly on the back end of the eulogy of Concord 2 and its failure for the Electric Boogaloo, we must now discuss cope-ass popular content topics such as this. It's funny that some of you are celebrating a game's death, but at the same time, y'all are crying and hauling for Stop Killing Games initiative to be a success. There's a limit in hypocrisy that some of you really love to cross it. Even if Highguard was my cup of tea, at least I'm not celebrating its death. Concord to this, Concord to that. How about fuck you and stick to Fortnite? By the way, don't try to outsmart me when the founder of SJT himself isn't very kind to this. Some of you should be ashamed of yourselves. And what did Ross actually say? Highguard, a game with paid microtransactions is being disabled. I'm glad I'm not collecting signatures for Stop Killing Games anymore, since some people would equate game equality with whether or not you're entitled to consumer rights or not seeing the broader problem. The problem here is very simple. Rohan Kar, you are a retard. Simple. Short, simple ass. Because, let's go over one from the homegirl from down the block, Nuru, about what she has to say about this. Weren't the devs the ones saying that they didn't need a large audience for the game to succeed? Alright then, let's be honest for a second. Past 5 years have shown a massive disconnect between developers and players, which is ironic considering we live in an age of social media. Which is not really that ironic, because they actively avoid us on these platforms, and they go to places like Blue Sky to get woke scolded to by a left-wing audience that then harasses them if they ever step out of line. Because you can't give Chuds attention and give Chuds arguments. You have 90% of players openly saying, we're not interested in this product, or we're not showing up for it. And instead of listening or adjusting course, studios double down. For what? If you already decided the audience doesn't matter, don't act surprised when the audience doesn't show up. And certainly don't act surprised if people are celebrating, laughing, mogging, frame-momming, gesture-maxing over the death of this game, when they actively told us, as I already reported in the first video, that they hated us, they blamed us as the failure, and why should I come into the building and save you from your failure? It's not our job to save your dying game. People like Rohan Kar are the other side of the issue here. How can you say this when you want Stop Killing Games initiatives to exceed? Simple. Because we don't have to save them. That's why. Do you remember what Stop Killing Games was about? It was about allowing there to be a talking plan about how we plan Ender's life service. In the ideals of Stop Killing Games, Highguard would be preserved as a museum piece. 3-on-3, Raid Rush, the complete changes from the 45 days of its release, and it would exist in that state as something that people could play should they be able to get the peer-to-peer services to play with Hamachi connections. Very similar to another video game that has already done the same thing, which is Knockout City. Certainly, you'll have to download a downloader that will have you be able to connect to the content and run the service on your computer using the compatibility state so that you can use it as a way to surface and surf for the games that you wish to play on the servers. But they exist in a state that is very similar to the idea of something like Toontown, or any private server for any video game you could ever run in perpetuity since forever. They're not stopping Highguard from getting involved and inducted into Stop Killing Games. What's interesting here is that you think that people are being hypocritical and are browbeating them. And to address the idea of Concord 2, it is the case that many of us can be able to have pattern recognition. But it's not just pattern recognition because we saw things that looked similar. It is the case that we have an actual timeline of content that shows in totality what people are expected to expect with this content. And that is the Concord timeline. Concord itself, Highguard, Marathon, and Horizon Hunters Gathering. Concord died on the vine because it could not hit critical mass, because it did not have enough going for it to get people interested in it to keep it going. Highguard will be shutting down on March 12th, excuse me, because they did not have enough people and did not retain enough numbers to keep it going to fund it. Marathon just had its server slammed, and it has demonstrated that it does not have the interest of the marketplace to keep people playing it because they couldn't even find the ammo to kill other players, let alone kill the PvE content that's on the map. While another game like it, Arc Raiders, already exists, already formulated its culture, already formulated a player base, and already has the ability for this content to exist without them having to attach a big name studio for it. and then Horizon Hunter's Gathering, a game in the timeline of Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West that is supposed to tie this content into that universe that has no reason to exist other than because somebody said that they wanted it to exist. This is the Concordian timeline. And it is the case that in the viewpoint of people like that of Rohan, that they do not understand what is actually happening here. So, I will walk through it for him, because of course he's too much of a retard to do it himself. Which is funny, because this is a content creator who, who purports and who pridefully announces himself as someone who archives and shares abandonware games as a hobby. And yet, you can't see the difference between all the other things that were ransomware, abandonware, vaporware, or just simply unfinished projects and concepts that either didn't land, didn't mesh, didn't sell well in the marketplace, and an active product failing to capture a demographic and then dying on the vine. The difference between these two things, we'll break it down for you. The simplicity of this is that we are not celebrating the death of the game. When I say we, I mean the conclusive involved people who could be able to offer it. If you go through the timeline right now, and you go and you look for people who are actively posting shit posts about it, it is the case that you could try to say that those people are in fact celebrating it. If you go down and you just even start at Zach saying things like, "Welcome home, buddy. It's time for you to get that McDonald's wall. It's time for you to get in on that Sigma grind set and start working and flipping them burgers, boy." It is in fact the case that you do not understand what is memes and jokes supplied by active cheering and lapping up of the tears of the developers as they now go into the golden handcuffs of the games industry that one of the developers wrote about, claiming that they will never do what we want to again in the Kimberlayer format of losing twice. That the game has not only failed at the marketplace and is dying on the vine and will go into EOS, but now they will be forced to make content that keeps them shackled to the games industry, delivering content that they hate, despite the fact that Wildlight claims that they left the industry to make this game, and despite it not looking like something that we, or they, as emancipated developers would want to make with their time and interest, it was revealed, in fact, the case that it was backed by Tencent to create this content. If you go through the timeline of all this content, all these messages, all these posts that can be made, you'll see the same thing multiple times. It's not people laughing and intendedly doing it, with the exception of Smash JT. He 100% is doing that on purpose. He's copying everyone else. You will see, even amongst the shills that we dislike, Asmongold, Vara Dark, she's not a shill, so she's good at her job. Master of the GES, him and his wife are not shills, they're good at their job, as am I. Savvy, not a shill, just good at her job. Or at least you could say she is one of the ones that will be purported as supposedly being a Trump supporter who is allegedly a grifter, that in the terms of games, like myself, will play the dog shit on camera and do their research. Smash AT, actual grifter, but he is correct. Actman, actual grifter, but he is correct. Flork of Clouds, Pirate Nation, a coal posting account, J Viper, a Actman and or Smash JT Dick Rider, but also a coal poster themselves, and all these other people. This is them demonstrating something that was very obvious from the beginning, which was that you wanted this game to exist longer than it did, and then it all got fucked up and smashed back to reality. No, gamers are not necessarily celebrating and dancing on the grave of this game, as much as they are demonstrating something that we already knew. You lied to the face of the developers. You lied to the face of the consumer. You lied to the face of the demographic and the market face this game was supposed to capture. And we all sniffed it for what it was, and you're angry we didn't bite the bait. Propaganda doesn't work on people who have the choice to ignore your product. Gaming industry, you need to learn the lesson. Claiming that High Guard didn't flop, when in fact case, High Guard did flop. You want people to waste their time with a product that you believe that we are indentured slaves to have to consume. We're not. The fact of the matter is, no matter what the fuck you say about High Guard, especially if you choose to take this alleged position about how dare you laugh at this game's failure. You, and also not just you, but the Black Hokage and the Mighty Keith demonstrate this need to prognosticate some kind of success, some kind of communication of a problem that lands up fucking with the ass I can show you what it gets you. I can show you what it gets you. I can show you what it gets you. In fact, it was the case that I predicted this about the material when it came to the existence of material content already delivered in the format of Marathon. And just as the Mighty Keith in his dumb slick ass thought that he could be able to communicate this at the time of the Service Slam, demonstrated here, it was the case that, people are just going to keep being a part of conversations that have zero reason to be a part of, because they just want to articulate criticism of the game as being way harder than it is, and getting less views than posting memes and knee-jerk reactions. They don't know what they're talking about. And lo and behold, after the Service Slam, sliding down into 20, and multiple times I had predicted beforehand, in the case of Nicodemus, it was the fact that multiple times we discussed this, and we discussed this problem as being an issue, that you need to stop patting yourselves in the back and stop trying to come to the defense of games that do not deserve your defense, and you need to wait and see what happens. Right now, what we're seeing here is what happened when we waited and saw it for 3 months. The game is dead after 45 days because it was ass. The culture of art creators shifted over 4 months to where it's ruined, it's dead, so when the tourists head off to go try and monetize a new game like Stolen Land to colonize, in the case of Marathon, is going to end up getting Marathon blown up. Check and see. Wait and see. Right now, today is March 4th. Tomorrow will be March 5th. That will be the launch and the release. I might have to actually save money come Friday to buy this game myself and to demonstrate the case on camera. I might have to take the fucking $40 sink in order to demonstrate the point. The point of the matter, the case of the matter, and the issue of the matter is, people are not bragging about these games dying. We knew it would be dead before it ever died. We knew that Concord would fail because it was bland, and it was not something that we asked for. We, the consumer, asked for. We knew that Highguard would fail because it was bland and we didn't ask for it. We, the consumers, didn't ask for it. We didn't ask for it. You didn't ask us to help you test it. You didn't listen to the advice that we gave about it. You blamed us for its failure. You said we're the reason why you can't retain players. So why would we come back into a building where you blamed us as the reason why your food's trash in your brick and mortar pizzeria to continue eating more trash we didn't ask for? And then the same prognostication, the same individuals, the same people, the same usual suspects saying that, oh, you guys are just being overly sensational and mean. You're just attacking them just because it's good to do so for press. No, it's because we don't want it. We told them that we don't want it. We told them that we're not interested. We said as clearly as we could with our wallets, I'm not buying. Non-binary. And you sat there and said, actually, they're just grifters. Actually, they just don't want to put in the time and the effort. It's actually just a good game. When you don't have a bitch in your ear, you're able to see that it's really worth the content. No. It's just your own arguments blowing up in your face time and time and time and time again. How many times are we going to have to tell you this shit, old men? Oh, I know. Forever. We'll have to tell you forever. We'll have to tell the Black Coat Kage, who says the same dumb shit, forever. It is going to be the case that we're always going to have to repeat this publicly. We're always going to have to explain this. We're always going to have to demonstrate this. We'll always have to unpack this. We'll always have to show this. We'll always have to clear this. We'll always have to make this very, very, very certain. Because even right now, you're about to do the same thing to Triton Desert. You're about to do the same thing to Marathon. You're about to make the same arguments again. You're sitting here saying, bro, it's a good game, but it's not for everyone. If it's a good game and it's not for everyone, then who is it for? Is it for you? Oh, I don't know. I don't know, bro. It seems to be the case that actually this is what happens when access journalism is allowed in the room. You were clearly stating that the building that the event was held in was having electrical issues, and that you had your own stations and you had to take turns on the PC because of the problem. It might be the case that the, quote, internet weirdos look for reasons to discredit the word and you're nipping it in the butt real quick. No, actually, you're demonstrating that you don't understand that you are a part of the reason why it's a fucking problem. My guy, you all are the reason we are here. All of you are demonstrating the reason why it's a problem. You are claiming that this is for people that are employed, that the unemployed are doing it. No, motherfucker. People like me are telling you straight up what it is because I have the privilege. I am blessed enough to be able to work from home and play the content and show you what the fucking problem is. Rehearse what the fucking problem is. Break down what the fucking problem is. No. It is not the case that allegedly that it's got a problem with people celebrating the game's death and trying to brag about it. It is the case that you got a problem with people trying to defend the fucking low, mere company, multi-billion-dollar company from getting their just desserts. And I'm sorry, nigga, that shit is best served cold with an iceberry banana split shake. It is the case that post after 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 post, where you choose to prognosticate yourself as a part of the spectrum, that you will shill for people. You will shill for people. You will shill for people and topics and arguments that don't show actual reality to what people are discussing. It is the case that you will keep showing up forever, trying to do what you're doing here as you did on February 27th. The same level of disturbing retardation, where you will try to tell people, here's why you should be excited for GTA 6. Here's why you shouldn't be looking into what people are saying about the game. This is why you shouldn't be doing any of this other shit, and why you should be developing your own opinion, but also use my opinion as a way to discredit those other people's opinions. It is because you cannot fight back against the collective retardation of those that are retarded and the collective anal retention of penny pinchers like myself for why we won't join your fucking narrative. Your games are trash. Your arguments are trash. Your viewpoints are trash. They recyclically are trash. Duh. Time and time and time again. How many more times do we have to pack you in? How many more times must we pack you in before you believe what we're telling you? How many times does the industry have to fail on their face? How many times do they have to fall and falter and get sent back to the drawing board before they hear us and understand we don't want the trash you're pushing, and take more time to develop it? And stop using access media journalists and individual content creators and influencers to try to move us. We don't trust them or you. How many times do we have to say that before you believe it? How many more times are you going to make accusations of the modern audience, that it's Twitch and the regular Twitch broadcasters that exist inside of the toxic poverty, inside the toxic positivity sphere, before you finally listen to the words coming out of my niggly mouth? How many more times does Negrodamus have to predict the rotation of the sun will fall on your heads? How many more times must I and others be cursed with the gift of foresight from Apollo before you believe the shit we're telling you in the demographics on the charts and on the marketplace? This is a historical thing at this point. Much like anything in history that has history behind it, why do you think that you can ignore what history is telling you, what the demographics are telling you, what the sales charts are telling you, and you continue to believe the same shills that put you in this position? Yes, put your trust in them, by all means. It just tells us what we're not supposed to buy, because we know if you're not listening to us and you're listening to them, you've set yourself up for failure as is. But hey, what do I know? I'm just some black chud. See you all on the next side, because we still ain't done today. I got more to talk about. Goodbye.